Creating type in Photoshop is fairly easy. The first thing you have to do is look at your toolbox and find your type tool, which is this fellow over here. You then simply click on it, bring your pointer to where you want your type to appear, give a single click and start typing. When you press enter, it will create a new line. Now to change anything, what you need to do is click and drag over the type, and then first of all you might want to change your font. All the typefaces that are in your computer will actually be shown in this list, and you'll see that as you move your pointer over the different typefaces, the type in your image will change to reflect the font that you've chosen. So if we choose something like Bell, for example, we'll just choose the normal Bell regular. You will have some different choices as to the style that you want. So bold or italic, and that very much depends on the typeface that you've chosen. You can also change the size over here, as well as the alignment. So let's change this to something a little bit bigger, and you can choose whether you want it left aligned, right aligned, or centered by just simply clicking on these different buttons. You can also change the color of your type by clicking on this color button over here, which brings up your color picker. So you can then choose the hue, the color, and then the brightness and saturation by just moving your pointer along this big box and clicking OK when you're happy. If you go into the window menu, you'll see that you have paragraphs and you've also got character. If you go to your paragraphs panel, this guy over here pops up, and you'll see that once again you can change the alignments. You can also change the left indents, the right indents. You can change the indent of the first line and have a space before or a space after. If you go into the character panel, once again you can change the size of the font. You can choose one of the presets, or if you want an odd size you can just type that in yourself. So if you wanted 37 point type, for example, which is not a standard, you could simply type in 37 and that would change it. This button over here will dictate your leading. Leading is also known as line spacing. So by default you have auto leading, which is the font size plus 20%. Sometimes you want your type to be much tighter though, so you can change that to the size of your type or less. So in this case we've got 37 point type, but 36 point leading, so it's actually less than the size of the type, which is fine for when you're working with type that is 14 points and over. Over here we've got something called kerning. Now kerning is when you want to change the amount of space between two individual letters. So for example, in this example you'll see that there appears to be a larger amount of space between the K and the I than there does between the I and the D. So to change that you simply click between the K and the I and you change your leading to reflect something like that. So in this case maybe -50 makes the type look like it's more evenly spaced. That button over here reflects tracking, and tracking is similar to leading except that it comes into play over a range of letters. So in this case, we'll click and drag over a range of different letters and change that to, let's say, +5, and you'll see how it opens it up some more. If you change it back to 0, that makes it a little bit tighter, or if you go down to, say, -50, that makes it very tight indeed. Those two buttons reflect the vertical and horizontal scale, and I would honestly suggest that you don't play around with those, because that simply distorts your type and makes it look very ugly. I'll give you an example here. We'll make that 200, and you can see how it makes the type very skinny and pretty ugly. So we'll change it back to 100. This button over here adjusts the baseline shift. So if you select a letter or a group of letters, you can either make them jump above the baseline or below the baseline by giving it a negative quantity. Or simply don't change it at all. These buttons underneath will actually change the style of the type, so that makes it bold. If you click again, it turns off the emboldening. That turns it into italic, all caps, or I'll highlight all the type here to show you how that works. What's known as small caps. Over here we have something called Superscript, which makes the type jump up, or Subscript, which makes it jump down, underline, or strike through. So I hope that helps.